I'm just trying to invite Paris on, so thank you for anyone who's here and enjoying my technological problems. Thank you. There we go, Paris. It needed like a real comment.
Hey!
Hey, I lost my camera turned around in my case to get you on here.
Okay.
That's my office. Welcome.
You see my
Hi.
windowless office.
Back up. Here we go. We're here. We did
Yes,
it.
the irony. The irony is not lost on me that we're having this conversation about the outdoors when I'm in my windowless office where I spend most of my time.
Windows that are giving me this gorgeous light right now. So sorry. Do you want to talk a little bit about how we know each other?
Yes, of course. So we met, gosh, what was it? 5.5, 6 years ago?
Something like that.
At least 5, which I still cannot believe. And it was at Reliance Health. We became coworkers here. Reliance Health is a mental health agency in Norwich, Connecticut, and we were both here providing individual therapy and group therapy. I'm still here. Rachel's ventured off into private practice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, and then tell us about why we're having this conversation today, what you do.
Sure. So I think it was a few weeks back, Rachel and I met, and she asked, because of knowing my sort of experience, or rather involvement in hiking in the outdoors sort of community, if I would come on and chat about sort of the integration between that, being outdoors, hiking, using your body and using the outdoors to sort of help regulate, help, manage symptoms maybe, or just sort of increase or improve your quality of life, and how that integrates into mental health. And so being a therapist and an avid hiker and a person who loves to be outdoors, I said, I'd love to share this conversation. After a little bit of, the willies I had to shake out of just sort of putting...
therapists get the willies, right?
Yes, that's right. So a good challenge for myself.
Sorry.
It's okay.
So from my end, we used to work together in many windowless offices back to back. You had one downstairs in the old building, and I had one with a window into another windowless office. That was my window.
Yes.
And then another windowless office. And then most recently, I realized how much that impacts me, because my office, if you follow my Instagram, you will know that my office was under construction for over 2 months, which was very much out of my control and very much in a property management role, and I couldn't do anything about it, so I had to use a different office that was windowless, and it did not feel great to do the winter and the darkest part of it in a white box, because my clients felt it too. So this is the first week that I have been in the sunlight, and it's been so wonderful and also distracting, because I'm so happy to have the windows. I'm like, ooh, there's a car. Ooh, there's a person. Ooh, what's happening out there? And I'm in Mystic, Connecticut, so I'm not super far from Norwich, where Paris is. So we can still meet up for lunch without having to go too far from each other.
Yes.
You want to bring people on there?
Yeah, and I'm just trying to make sure my computer is up, just so I have it. Okay. Sorry about that.
So tell us about the organization you're an ambassador for.
Yeah, so a little bit of maybe the backstory, because I think that might give a little bit of a sort of a foundation of how I led to the organization. I'll talk a little bit about. So I think it was and I also want to point out that Rachel was a part of my early parts of my journey of where I'm at now with being a hiker and being in the outdoors, and that I really felt a strong pull to sort of, for lack of a better way to phrase it, step it up in what I was doing. Living in southeastern Connecticut, that can be a little bit tough. We're a coastal town, or coastal area, I should say. And so in our hallway, I would frequently try to persuade her, although it didn't take much, when other coworkers, it didn't, to join me on certain regional hikes, I'll call them. So, going outside just in Connecticut, and, we would leave work on Wednesdays, I think I remember, and it was like our hiking day, and we would sort of get out of the office and go quick find the nearest trail and do that on our Wednesday afternoons or evenings. And obviously this is in the warmer weather months because there's more daylight. And then I started saying, hey, Rachel, what about if we did this one in Massachusetts? And it's a little bit longer, a little bit tougher. And then it led to, hey, Rachel, you want to go to New Hampshire and climb this 4,000 footer with me? And here's what it's about. And I'm trying to tackle this goal. And you said yes. And so we started to do these sort of awesome hikes together. And I'd either bring you with my husband or we'd bring your husband. And, off we would go for a big day adventure. And so, obviously life's change and shift. And so I got really intentional.
Had a baby.
Yes. Yes. For now. For you.
She's in for it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We're going to get up.
That's right. So then I got really intentional about the goal and sort of started to double down, I guess, for lack of a better term, on wanting to really put a dent in it to see if it was an actual goal I could achieve to hike all the 48 4,000 footers in the state of New Hampshire, which are the tall peaks for us East Coast folks, in our region or the Northeast region. And so made it a thing, and I got intentional about my goal setting and planned the weekends out, and usually had people that wanted to join with me, but it's tough. And like, again, talking about schedules and things like that, and then that was about the time I started this Instagram too. And so started to search for different hikers, people who were doing the same thing. And I stumbled across who I would consider a dear friend now. Her name is Colleen, Rocky Mountain Hiko here on Instagram. And she was just started out. She was one of the first, and she was an ambassador for this organization called Women Who Hike. So I started to follow her, started to follow Women Who Hike on Instagram. And just really started to find this awesome, empowering community that helped me to kind of continue to excel in that area. And then ultimately I ended up joining, because what we do in Women Who Hike a lot is we host group hikes around the whole country and even in Canada and across in the UK too. We have a UK ambassador. And so we host group hikes so that we can get women together, because community can be everything, and out there on the trail. And so I joined one. It was in New Hampshire. And to this day, some of the ladies I met on the hike that day are some of my dearest friends, Courtney. And so after that, it was probably very shortly after that, I spoke with Colleen at the time and Nicole, who's the founder of Women Who Hike, and she said, what do you think about, bringing that? Would you do this for the Northeast, for Connecticut? And again, some thought and some careful shaking out the willies on, can I do this? Or, who am I to offer some of this, this resource to my area? But I ended up saying yes. And started to host hikes for the state of Connecticut and all across in Massachusetts and then in New Hampshire. And so it's really been an awesome experience to be able to bring that to ladies who, again, across all skill levels, the outdoors, it's for everyone. And so people who, very beginner hikers, or just maybe it's a new goal of theirs, or maybe they're looking for a company. Maybe they do have the skills, they have the gear, they have the things they need, but they want company. And so, we're able to offer and provide that. And I think one of the other things, the sort of mission of Women Who Hike is to encourage, and empower women in exploration, support them in their accomplishments and self-love. And so that's on and off the trail, and so it's really their aim to try to kind of empower that, sort of in both areas, because our lives are multifaceted. I'm not obviously, despite what the pictures I might show, in this office very regularly helping people with that is sort of the internal experience, and so the other part about hiking is, I often see it as a microcosm for the world, for our experiences. Think of all the tons of metaphors you can use. Sometimes the trail is clear and it's easy and the skies are blue and, the views are gorgeous. And some days you have, really tough terrain and it's cloudy and there's no views, and so how much is that a metaphor for life? It's going to be.
It's totally. That's actually really great to kind of segue into how this can work on our mental wellness.
Yes.
Those great analogies, like
yes,
so cliched, but so true, and I probably use them at least 10 times a week. I'm just like, I even use it today, discussing the journey versus the outcome.
Sure.
Right? The fact that you dragged me out to at obscenely early hours to a hike that I probably complained through most of, and decided maybe I would live on the mountain at certain points. Like, just leave me here. I'm just going to live here and not go any further.
Oh, I remember.
It can be really hard, but it also can be about the journey versus, like, even if I had to turn around, which was sometimes my fear, which didn't happen, thank goodness, where I didn't have to live on a mountain.
No.
It was really about the process of getting through that, even mentally, also physically. We carried very heavy bags.
Absolutely.
I've never been in better shape than those years. So
right.
I think that's a really good segue into how being outdoors can help our mental wellness.
Absolutely. I think a big part of what I think about sometimes when I get really fixated on these metaphors and analogies sometimes, because they can really be mind blowing. I think, for one of the couple of the examples I was thinking of when I was sort of thinking about today in our conversation was, over the past summer, I think it was late summer, I did my first 18-mile day hike in the White Mountains. Never in my wildest dreams, did I think I would ever be able to put an 18-mile day together, especially in the White Mountains where the terrain is just incredibly tough, and this is a slog of a hike. I'm sure some folks might know which one I'm talking about, but I finished it in the day with great company and great friends that day, and it was such a, if I can do this, then I can have tough conversations. Right, how it translates into that, and even going out to Colorado, and I climbed a 14er out there. I think it was maybe a year or two ago at this point, and I think it was a year after I was recovering from open heart surgery. And so I have a artificial heart now, and so if I can climb a 14er limited at altitude. But the oxygen is so different, then I can challenge myself in my career. So how these translate to your confidence, and I think that really shapes a lot of our where we fall in the mental health spectrum. When we're investing in ourselves or we see ourselves do well in certain things, it translates into our world. Our internal world, not just and so.
That's such a great way to put it, because you're right. You have to do a lot of mental, Olympics, aerobics, to get yourself to complete a task like that. And it's
sure. Yeah.
So you're right. You can translate that back to, well, if I can do this physical hard thing and this mental hard thing, then these other things that are challenging in my life, I too can probably accomplish this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I try to bring that.
The sun.
Yeah.
Air.
Yeah.
How do those things translate?
And so I try to bring that a little bit into my practice when I'm working with folks, so what are some things that wow, I never thought I'd do that. It doesn't have to be the same thing that maybe they're working on, but, but you excelled at that. That means that you can excel. So how do you, move that over? And hopefully, the hope is that translates into their symptoms, or it translates into coping skills, or whatever that might be.
Okay. I like that too. And so what about actually outdoors, right? Even thinking vitamin D, and not just the mental, but the physical experience of being outside, even if you're not hiking. Maybe we move too. So I want people to feel like you have to hike to get these benefits. What about just what other things can people do, and how does that impact you, the way you see?
Sure. Yeah, and I too wanted to make sure I made a point that, so I do try to challenge myself in that way with different hikes, but that's my experience, and that's something that I choose to do. But if you wanted, just thinking about what the outdoors can do, just to shift, I think a lot about why I love to use hiking as a main coping skill is, movement, just the very sort of primal or evolutionary pull to just move your body. I think we're it's how we're kind of built to move, to walk. Walking is such a natural thing. But, So movement, I think, is just important, and I'm constantly working with my folks different, again, sayings, move a muscle, change a thought, just get up and change the room. If you want, it doesn't need to be something huge. You can go sit on your back deck and just soak in some of the rays and do some breathing. You don't live in the mountains. Okay, I don't either. We live on the coast. What about taking out your kayak, and trying to do that more often? Or we have a beautiful Main Street. Go walk Main Street for a little while, and so.
I think that our fields, we sit and listen a lot.
We
sit
do.
so much.
Yeah.
And just be mindful of anyone, even if you're not in the helping profession. A lot of people are very sedentary in their jobs.
Yes.
And so encouraging and reminding yourself to just get outside. You can find 5 minutes to go outside.
Sure.
I too can remind myself to
Yeah.
have a 5-minute break to go outside, into the water, or feel like the freezing cold air if you're in New England on your face. Because it'll make you better at whatever you're doing for the rest of the day.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're in a windowless place.
When
But even if you have a glorious window like I do.
Yeah.
Being outside for real is so helpful, and standing up, moving hips, legs.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you visit this in yoga a lot too. Like how movement is just so important for your body. I think right before we started, about 15 minutes ago, I took our parking lot. I did 3 laps around our parking lot just to be outside and get in some of the sunshine that's finally shining today here in Connecticut. So I hope that those are some ways that people can, think about incorporating or using outdoors as a strategy. You have to get creative sometimes. Like, if it is, I know we're in the winter right now, but if it's summer, eat dinner outside. You like to paint outside. Like whatever it is. Try to develop.
I'll try and get my kid to sit in the driveway, even if she doesn't want to. Doesn't want to do anything. Like, well, we're outdoors.
Yeah.
We're outside. We're not
That's right.
Right. Like, you want to be grumpy? Let's just sit here. Fine.
Is be grumpy outside, and I bet you it sometimes shifts a little bit.
For sure. And for me too. It's easier to stay calm at times when you're incorporating being outdoors.
Yeah.
Can you think of anything else as far as like how you see the translation between coping and the benefits of being outside before we start to like wrap things up?
Yeah. So aside from obviously the movement of the body, because so there's some science behind that, and I just wanted and I know that probably everyone experiences it. If you're active, the reason behind why it's good is because endorphins get released, and so you get some natural burst of and so that's one. And the vitamin D that you referenced, we're deficient here in the Northeast, just at baseline. And so I think just being able to soak in some, even if it is cloudy, they say that you're still sort of taking in some of that, and letting your body. And so why I bring that up is that lets what your body has naturally do its job. This is aside from coping. So you want your body to be able to operate at its best, being able to produce the vitamin D or take it in, or let endorphins and hormones and neurotransmitters do the right jobs that they're supposed to do. So that's like the foundation, let your body and mind do what it's designed to do in a healthy way. And then, it's just about how, stress management is when you invest, you invest in yourself, because we know we don't do and so again, back to neurotransmitters, and if you're stressed, you're releasing a bunch of stuff that doesn't, it's combating all the maybe positive things that might be going on. It's releasing things that are gonna, maybe be harmful for your body. So you think about stress reduction and coping skills. It's an investment, like a savings account. You need to stockpile these things, even on days when you might think things might be going well. Stockpile, develop a savings account of your mental wellness and your coping skills, and do something you love. And I think it's few and far between. Maybe there's a few people who the outdoors doesn't really resonate with them, but I think it's few and far between. And so you can find ways.
I think I used to be that person. I think especially moving to the middle of nowhere where we live in southeastern Connecticut. I love you, but it was a big transition from a city life to a more rural, suburban life, and I really was very anti-outdoors and bugs and dirt and stuff, and I really come to embrace it because that was just a story I told myself that like bugs
Yes.
are gross, which is totally true. Mosquitoes love me, also very factual. But I can do things to manage that so that I can be outside. And the
Yes.
older I get and the more I sit for my job, the more I crave being outside.
Absolutely.
So let's see if we can just give anyone out there who's listening and watching, do you want to ask some questions? So I want to make sure we have an opportunity to see if any of your women who hike or hiking people or
Sure.
whoever's out there watching, I want to make sure there's an opportunity for people to comment. Does anyone else like hiking or formerly hate being outdoors like me? I feel like I'm a recovering anti-outdoorser person.
Recovering indoors woman.
Really not want to be outside. It's so smoggy and so cement and so gross.
The concrete jungle.
Yeah, for real. For real.
Mhm.
It's very anti-outdoors. We're very
Mm.
So let's see if you want to make comments or things they want to ask. Are you seeing? I'm not sure. I don't know if you're seeing the same things I'm seeing. I don't have any questions yet, but if you see any, feel free to address them.
Okay, I don't see any questions yet.
Okay, no, me either. Okay.
Maybe what I can do, so if there are any questions related to, I don't know, things about hiking or the outdoors, and then even more specifically, which I will get into, but if you have any questions about women who hike, again, it doesn't need to be specific to Connecticut. We are all over the United States and Canada and the UK, so please feel free to ask any questions that you want. So you can also, should I just talk about where they can find them now?
Yeah, we can transition to that. And if people have questions, I'll read them out loud to you if I see them.
Okay. So you could obviously follow us on Instagram. That's how I found Women Who Hike initially. And we also have Facebook groups and pages that are state specific. If you go onto our website, which is womenwhohike.com, you will find a section that will be able to siphon out through the state that you're either in, you reside in, or one of the ways I use it is if I'm planning a trip, an adventure-based trip to another state, and maybe I need some data on a trail or different, best hikes. I've used this a lot. A lot of my girls across the country. You can join that group, and so you can get information and help you plan. So that's one way to use it. You can also find on our website where to become a member. There's a link directly to it, and so you can. By doing that, you access the emails to our group hikes, so you can sign up and join us on our group hikes. I am actually hosting one in Connecticut at Talcott Mountain State Park on February 8th. So we're hoping that it's winter-based themed, it's beginner winter-based, so that, I too struggle with being, getting myself on the trail and outside in the winter. I'm recovering winter hater, so I'm trying to build up all my gear and stuff to be safely and outdoors in the winter and enjoy it. But this is for that. So if you want to join us, if you're in Connecticut on February 8th, I don't believe it's full yet, so you can sort of try to access, look into, or if you are a member, certainly try to join. If not, become a member and search for that.
Awesome. All right, we're getting some love. And what about you? How do people find you out there on the interwebs?
Yeah, so if you're following through, I guess, the Grounded Therapist through Rachel, and, my Instagram handle is Happy Trails. There's some underscores in there because my close friends call me P. So my best friend, thank you, Pam, was helping me start this Instagram account. She said, she developed that name. And so it's like a pun on Happy Trails. And so _P _trails. So you can follow me. And probably showing up somewhere on this if people are seeing it and they're not currently following me.
And do you have like a specific, you're in a Facebook group for women who hike in Connecticut? How does that work?
Yes. Yep. So it's a private Facebook group that is specific to Connecticut, and it's designed to say lots of different things. Anyone want to hike this Saturday? Or, I'm looking for new winter boots. Does anyone have any recommendations on which ones to get? Or, even this is like a ton of support in the group too. So if you had questions, or if you, just like were feeling like you wanted, company on a trip or an event, it's just a supportive community to try to help women connect and, get what they need to safely be on the trail.
Awesome. All right. That sounds great to have all that support. I would totally be out there more, I think, if we had found that support earlier. Maybe. All right. And as far as me, Grounded Therapist. My office is in Mystic. My website is groundedtherapist.com, and you can find me on my handle at Grounded Therapist on Instagram and Facebook. And I just launched my first Facebook group, so if you want to join and see some exclusive content and just find another community just talking about anxiety specifically for women, you can
It sounds awesome.
message me. Yeah, it's called Ignite with Rachel because I changed the name, but I can't make the change happen.
In your head yet?
Technology problems, but it's fine. So just DM me or PM me on Facebook. I'm also at Grounded Therapist there. And thank Paris for being here and getting out of your comfort zone to be live on Instagram.
They
and
did
for
it.
everyone who's joined us, we've had a lot of people going in and out, so I'm really grateful for all of those
Thank
people.
you. Yes,
And
very
thanks
much.
to Women Who Hike. Thank you for being out there. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye, Paris.
Take care of yourselves. Get outside, guys. Thanks.
Bye.